So the next thing we're going to do, and every brand is different as far as their water resistance tests, and this is where we start to get scary, is we're going to put the watch into water and we're going to let it sit for a few minutes in casual water. We're not going to pressurize it yet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the watch in here, and I'm hopefully going to be able to position this so we could see the dive indicator through the top. And that's my whole goal here.
How old will you say this machine that you're using?
This one is actually, this is a lower pressure tester. This only goes to 40 bars.
Okay.
All the new ones go to 125 bars. So that's the difference in depth. Is this is a good tester, but it won't test to full depth
specification.
So what we're going to do is we're going to lock this down. Again, this machine is completely filled with distilled water. And the reason they use the distilled water is we don't want any kind of minerals in there. I'm going to make sure we're backed out here a second. And we're going to actually top this off because I can see one big air bubble popping up. And the last thing we can have, air compresses, water does not compress. And so that's why we have to rely on, we actually want to overfill this a little bit. And we're going to close it down, lock it down, and we're going to actually let this sit for a few minutes and let the ambient pressure sit in the watch. And what they're doing right here is, even when the watch pressurizes, it can actually seal itself. So we want to test it too where we don't have any pressure on it.
Just neutral.
Because neutral water, casual water they call it.
Casual
so it's
water.
just basically sitting like you're resting your arm in a pool. Because if you do have any kind of leaks, chances are they could tighten up and actually go away under pressure.
Huh, I never thought about that.
But when you come back down out of pressure, and that's when we talk about the vacuum.
A little bit comes in.
We have two areas, and we talk about the vacuum test. Why do we need that? We're not going into outer space, but we're swimming. Your backstroke.
Yeah.
When you backstroke, you're putting your watch into a vacuum. If you have any kind of leaks, you're going to suck air into it. You're going to suck water into that case, and that's another reason we have to run both a vacuum test and a pressure test. It expands the seals, it contracts the seals, and it's another form of making sure the watch is going to be water resistant. And speaking of water and pressure, I am going to do my best here to try to bring some pressure up on this. And I'm trying to look down in here, and I'm going to try to reposition this mirror in a second so we can get some depth as well. As soon as we start coming up here, and I am getting some depth as well. And we are going to go. What I can show here, and hopefully I can actually tip this a little more.
There you go. That's perfect.
Okay. Along the yellow bar down at the bottom. Oh, here we are. The yellow bar down at the bottom. It's actually, the yellow bar stops at 70. And you can actually see that's our depth right now. And you'll see a little, there's like a white ring on the outside of that. But it is stopped directly at 70. And that, coincidentally, if we look down at the gauge here a second on the machine, the gauge itself is actually at 7 bar. So if I don't know if we can get in there or not, but it's actually right about 7 bar. So the watch, the gauge, the dive gauge itself is actually pretty darn close. And we are going to take this to 10 bar. And we are at, let's just confirm, and we are just under 10 bar on the watch, and we are coming up to 100 on the gauge itself. So if we look in here again, whether or not we could see that or not, you could see that outside line there. I could see it now. I hope everyone else could see it. It's right here. You can see the cutoff of the line. It's just below 100. Okay, so that's giving us indication. So this watch is right now under tremendous pressure. And what we're going to do with it, we're going to let this watch sit for about 5 minutes in here and then bring it back down to normal pressure, ambient pressure once again. And that's not going to conclude the water testing because it's actually going to go back into a casual water situation. Then we're going to go to the hot plate. And what the hot plate will do, if there's any seepage inside of it, it's going to show us condensation on the crystal. And this is the ultimate test, where we're violently abusing this watch. But then we're going to put it over here, and it's going to tell us the truth. Exactly. But using the dive watches and maintaining them is the main thing with it. And that's why I wanted to go ahead and bring some of this equipment along to demonstrate it. What I'm going to do, I want to come down now. I want to come down in pressure. And if we can get, I want to see if we can get the gauge on here. And so you can actually see the gauge as I'm coming down in pressure. Okay, it's going to, the gauge is right along here. You can see it right inside the yellow ring. And you're going to watch that gauge wrap back around as I come down in pressure. And you can see the white line is actually getting longer. And we're actually at the index right now. So we're coming down. That's just so cool how that works. And that's why this is called watch science.
That is pretty amazing.
We want to be able to demonstrate exactly what goes on inside the watches. We are at 0 pressure right now. We're going to let the watch sit a few more minutes at that ambient pressure, let everything relax again, and then we're going to take it out and we're going to see if we have any leaks in it.
And you can real true
while we're doing
watchmaking.
that,
Yeah.
we're going to pull this out of here. Our pressure is down to 0. We are going to pull this. We're going to open the chamber. We are going to remove our watch. And I'm just going to towel dry it off. Just kind of pat it a little bit. And it's going on a hot plate. And the hot plate is set at 60 degrees Celsius. And we're going to leave it there for about 5 minutes. And what that's going to do is if there's any condensation, we're going to put a drop of water on the top of that. And if there's any condensation, any moisture inside this case, we're going to get a fog in the center of it. So this is the
true litmus test.
The true test.